When Micron comes to the Syracuse area, the massive microchip manufacturing plant is expected to have ripple effects that will extend into the North Country. Tonight, 7 News reporter Chad Charette tells us about the steps one state assemblyman is taking to make sure the area can be ready for it.
Assemblyman Scott Gray's message to local leaders can be boiled down to a single sentence: be prepared for Micron. The company's microchip plant is expected to break ground next year and create as many as 9,000 jobs.
This is, a development that we have never seen before in New York State, let alone upstate.
If those local leaders play their cards right, Gray believes the plant will be a massive economic boon for the North Country. He says things like new housing developments and proximity to attractions like the St. Lawrence River could draw folks to the region and keep them here.
If you put a pin in Clarkson and you put a pin in Micron, and then you just look at everything in between, and that's what we're going to try to develop and make ourselves appealing to Micron.
One place that hopes to benefit is Jefferson Community College. The college has been working out a plan to remodel its Dulles building. If things work out, JCC President Dan Dupuy says it'll house programs specifically tailored for employment at the Micron plant, whether that be in construction or the semiconductor industry itself.
It's very exciting. I mean, it's exciting for our community to have the opportunity to provide some of the roles that they will need there, and those are, really good paying jobs, and it's what we need.
According to Dupuy, a representative from Micron will be coming to the area to take a look at the building at some point within the next few weeks. Chad Charette, 7 News.